What's up guys, Mickle here, and it looks like XRP is finally starting to get some very positive price momentum, but we're still waiting on that one big catalyst to finally see the breakout we have all been waiting for. In this video, I want to talk about something taking place tomorrow that could provide that catalyst. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see that. You are not going to want to miss it. I also want to talk about the launch of the Zow Network. It's an XRP sidechain that actually launched earlier today. Now, some people are saying this could be bad for XRP because it could actually end up extracting value from the main chain and possibly becoming competition for the XRP ledger over the long run. In this video, I want to give you my perspective on whether or not the Zow chain is good or bad for the XRP ledger. This is something you are not going to want to miss. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to take a quick second to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It's really going to help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange, Uphold, down in the description of this video. Also, if you do not have an Uphold account yet and you sign up using the link in the description of this video, if you just buy a couple XRP, you could be entered into a contest to win over 20,000 XRP. You are not going to want to miss out on that. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start out this video and actually talk about a loss the SEC just took in the courts that really went under the radar. So one of the ways the SEC has essentially been trying to backdoor regulate the cryptocurrency industry is by persuading public companies not to interact with cryptocurrencies. Now, the SEC by law technically can't go to public companies and say, hey, you're not allowed to do this, but what they can do is pass rules that make it really hard for public companies to actually interact with the cryptocurrency sector. Now, one of the ways they did this was essentially by making it so if a public company holds cryptocurrencies on their balance sheet, the SEC passed all these different rules to make accounting for those cryptocurrencies extremely hard. Now, it's important to understand most public companies are extremely risk averse, so if the SEC is passing all these complex rules that these public companies have to follow to hold cryptocurrencies, then these public companies for the most part aren't going to take the risk and just say, you know what, this is too complex, this is too risky for us to engage with right now. So essentially, the SEC has been backdoor regulating the cryptocurrency industry by preventing public companies that need to be registered with the SEC from actually interacting with the cryptocurrencies they want to interact with. Well, essentially just today, we actually got a pretty massive win on this front. An agency actually ruled that the SEC by doing this was actually violating the law, and they are actually asking Congress to step in and act on this. Essentially, we are seeing more legal pushback based on the SEC's actions in this industry. The SEC claims they're technology neutral, but what we're seeing is time after time, the courts are disagreeing. We are finding out that the SEC is not in fact technology neutral, and it wasn't just our opinions as cryptocurrencies enthusiasts. We're actually learning that the courts agree with us. This is so important because back in the day, I really did think there was a possibility that the courts could have agreed with the SEC. Just because the SEC is a federal agency, cryptocurrencies are so new, so many people are confused by cryptocurrencies. I was really worried, despite the fact that I thought us crypto enthusiasts were always right, the courts simply wouldn't agree with us because they wouldn't have the understanding necessary to actually sort through these complex issues. But what we're seeing is time after time, the legal system is actually agreeing with us and proving that the SEC is 100% completely out of line. And I think this just shows how weak the SEC has been in the sector. Despite the fact that most people are very confused about cryptocurrencies, they get a really bad reputation. Despite all of that, the SEC's cases have been so weak, they've had so little persuasion behind them, not even they, with the bad reputation behind cryptocurrencies, are able to convince the courts that they are on the right side of these issues. Overall, just another big win for the cryptocurrency industry. It is so nice to see the courts pushing back on the SEC because, guys, despite the fact that the SEC has a lot of power, this is how we take back that power. The courts are pushing back hard against the SEC. They are telling us that we have been right the entire time, and the SEC is not acting in good faith. So now I want to move on and quickly talk about the Zow Network because this is something that's really caused a lot of drama over the past couple days, and I want to give you my thoughts on the Zow Network, whether or not I think it's good or bad for the XRP ledger, but most importantly, really break down where I see the Zow Network in the future. Now, a lot of people were really worried about the Zow network. They thought essentially it would start to replace the XRP ledger because it has smart contract capabilities that the XRP ledger doesn't have. So I want to break down my thoughts on this. Am I worried about the Zow network ultimately replacing the XRP ledger? No, not at all. I think it is more of a complement to the XRP ledger than anything else. And I want to break down exactly why that's the case. Essentially, the main difference between the Zow network and the XRP ledger right now is the Zow network has smart contracts. So why didn't we just put the smart contracts on the XRP ledger? Why did we need a whole new network? Well, essentially, an old Ripple developer actually commented on this, and he said that the smart contracts added to the Zow network are so complex it was just going to put the XRP ledger at too much risk. This is really important to understand because one of the best parts about the XRP ledger is it's never gone down. The XRP ledger has excellent uptime, so putting this smart contract functionality directly on the XRP ledger, and this smart contract functionality is called hooks, just keep that in mind if I refer to it like that later in the video, would be a pretty big risk. We don't want to install something on the main chain that could end up breaking it, because then what was the point of installing it if you just break the technology anyway? So what needed to happen was we needed to put this technology, this hook smart contract technology, on a different chain to test it out, to make sure it worked, to make sure it fully functioned the way people thought it was and it wasn't going to break anything. So now we have the Zow chain as this test network where we can test different functionalities that can later be put on the XRP ledger. And I think what we're going to end up learning is we don't actually need these smart contracts on the XRP ledger. And why is that? Well, just take a look at Ethereum, right? Ethereum is a great chain. It's super customizable. You can do all kinds of cool things with development. But it is so bogged down, it is so overly complex, institutions can't really use it. There is a glitch on Ethereum right now because of their smart contracts where if you send someone an NFT and they interact with that NFT, their entire account can be drained. Imagine if an institution was to adopt this protocol and another institution was sending them NFTs to try to drain their accounts. That right there is too much programmability. It's too much functionality. It is functionality that was created that is actually acting as a detriment to the network. These are the kinds of things you don't have on the XRP ledger because it's so simple. The XRP ledger is fast and efficient, and it doesn't have these very complex issues that can be created when you have too much programmability. This is something we want to preserve in the XRP ledger. And the great thing about having the Zow network as a sidechain is we can test all these really cool, complex things on the Zow network, and if they're really bad and they're not useful, they never come over to the main chain. But if we end up creating something really great, something really powerful, and we all agree, hey, this needs to go onto the main chain, then you can just take that one small feature, put it on the main chain without importing the massive risk of the entire hook smart contract. This is so important to understand because I really think what we're going to end up having because of this new Zow network is a great place to test new ideas. I think it's going to make amendments pass faster as well because essentially rather than having this massive fear of saying, oh, is this going to work? Is this going to work? What issues is this going to cause? We can just actually test them on another network, see if they work, see if any issues come up, and then decide, hey, are people actually using this? Or did this seem like a good idea, but in reality, it's not being adopted? These are all things we're going to be able to do with this Zow network, and it's going to ultimately help XRP because this is something XRP has lacked in the past. Overall, I think these are really important things to understand because, in my opinion, I don't see any way this could actually be a bad thing. So many people think that the Zow network could replace the XRP ledger, but guys, think of how long it took the XRP ledger to get to where it is. Think of how long it took to ramp its liquidity. If you launch a brand new blockchain right now, just take a look at Corium, you're launching in the bottom 3,000. This is probably where Zow is going to launch. Zow is never going to have the liquidity most likely of the XRP ledger. It's probably never even going to be close. But it doesn't have to be because it's not looking to be a replacement for the XRP ledger. It's looking to be a complement and be able to do things the XRP ledger likely won't ever be able to do. But like I said, if something great gets created on this network, the good news is it can ultimately be brought over to the XRP ledger. I hope that helps you understand why this Zow network is actually a very good thing for the XRP ledger over the long term. Now, I know some people are still going to have their gripes about certain aspects of it, but let me just say so far, I think I have been very impressed despite some things I haven't liked with the network. No one's going to like everything. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Overall, though, I think this is a good thing for the XRP ledger, and I think it's going to make the XRP ledger stronger in the long run. And the last thing I want to talk about is the price of XRP right now. And right now, looking at the chart, we really are in a pretty interesting formation. We have this resistance that's been holding us down for a year and a half. It acted as support back here. And we have this long-term support that we've essentially been grinding up forever. Now, essentially what we're waiting for is some kind of catalyst. We have not had any catalyst that has been convincing enough to make us break through this support and really get price ripping. Tomorrow afternoon, the Federal Reserve is going to decide whether or not they continue to pause rate hikes or they go back to hiking interest rates, and that is going to be absolutely critical for all markets. If the Federal Reserve continues to pause, I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off the cryptocurrency market and allow the fundamental catalyst we have seen with Ripple launching all these new partnerships, these new things coming to the XRP ledger to start finally materializing in the price. Interest rates being jacked up has put a lot of pressure on these markets, and we're finally starting to see some relief. So if we can get through tomorrow without actually getting an increase in interest rates, I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off the XRP price chart. And as you can see, we are sitting in a place right now where less pressure could actually cause us to make a pretty significant move to the upside. Right now, we are sitting right where we need to be to make a big move. It's nice to be off this bottom trend line. The other thing that is pretty interesting is Brad Garlinghouse just restored his peg to following 589 people. Some people hate this stuff. I think it's kind of funny. And obviously, Brad Garlinghouse finds some fun in it as well. Just wanted to point it out. Overall, though, guys, XRP is looking very solid. It's important to understand stocks are crashing everywhere right now. This high interest rate environment has been brutal. So far, XRP has held up pretty well. Let's see if we can finally start to move out of this high interest rate environment, start to finally slow down the hiking. Maybe that takes the pressure off XRP for it finally to start relying back on its fundamentals. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.